We're going to take a look at some of the application of formulae. So all these formulas that we've been learning how to derive, these little proofs that we've been doing, we have to be able to use them as well. So we're going to skip ahead to page 77 of the notes, where the application of the 24 different formulae, there's some questions on those. Now, those formulae are between pages 14 and 18 of your log tables. So page 14 to 18 of your log tables. And this isn't something that we'll be learning off as such. We just need to be able to use those formulas. We don't have to prove them all. We only prove 9 of them. So we prove 9, but we must be able to use 24 of them. And you can just look them up and figure out which ones are best. Obviously enough, if you get a question like this, you'd go straight to your calculator, right? And you'd type in cosine of 15, and it will write it as root 6 plus root 2 over 4, and we have the answer. So the key thing here, what we're going to be learning to do, is to do this without using our calculator. Or they might say using formulae. So the question will usually indicate something like this. That means that you can't just type it into the calculator. And at higher level, you might get 0 marks if you just wrote down the answer and didn't show your work. So be really careful of that. What can we do with sine, cos, and tan without a calculator? Well, we need to know our special angles. So all of these applications means that we're going to be using what we call our special angles. And the special angles are 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90 degrees. So all of these questions, we're going to rewrite the angle as a sum, adding 2 angles together, or difference, minusing 2 angles together, of 2 special angles. So for part 1, the first thing we need to say is that 15 degrees can be written as 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay, so we've got to put these, any 2 of these together in such a way that I can get 15 degrees, which means that cosine of 15 is the same as cosine of 45 minus 30. And we've just learned our A minus B formula. We've just done the proof of that one. So we're going to use the cosine of A minus B is cos A cos B plus sine A sine B. And if you don't remember it, it's in the log tables on page 14, so you can look it up there. So that means I'm going to fill in everywhere I have A in my formula, I'm going to put 45, and everywhere I've got B in my formula, I'm going to put 30. Just a little bit like coordinate geometry, if you want to write the values above them like that. Excuse me. So that means the cosine of 15 is going to be cos 45, cos 30, plus sine 45, sine 30. Okay, now your special angles you should know, but you can type these bits into the calculator if you want to, because you've shown that you've used the formula correctly. So cos 45 is 1 over root 2, cos 30 is root 3 over 2, plus sine 45 is 1 over root 2, and sine 30 is a half. Excuse me. And so I multiply my fractions top by top, bottom by bottom, and I get 1 times root 3 over 2 root 2 plus 1 times 1 over 2 root 2. And the denominators are the same. So I can write that as a single fraction over 2 root 2. And I've got root 3 plus 1 over 2 root 2. Now in trigonometry, they will accept that for full marks. Because in trigonometry, we often leave a surd in the denominator as our answer, but in general in maths, we don't leave a surd on the bottom, but it's okay to just use the calculator from this point on. So into our calculator, we'll type square root of 3 plus 1 on top and 2 times the square root of 2 on the bottom. And that changes that to root 6 plus 2, root 6 plus root 2, root 6 plus root 2 over 4, which was the same answer that we got when we typed this into our calculator initially. So we're confident that we've done this correctly when we get that same answer. Okay, then for part 2, we're doing tan of 105 degrees. So the first thing we do is we look at 105 degrees and I say, well, how can I combine my special angles to get 105 degrees? And 45 and 60. So that can be written as 45 degrees plus 60 degrees. And tan of 105 degrees is the same as tan of 45 degrees plus 60 degrees. So I'm looking for a tan of A plus B formula. Tan of A plus B. We haven't proved, actually we have proved this one. I can't remember if we did the sum or the difference one yet. So there's a tan of A plus B formula, and you'll go into your log tables, pages 14 to 18, and you'll find it. I encourage you to do that even as we're going through this. Sorry, let's just look it up myself. I don't always remember them. And that is tan of A plus tan of B all over 1 minus tan of A multiplied by tan of B. It's like our slope formula from coordinate geometry, and it's also the very first formula that we proved for your Christmas test. So then I'm filling into this, and A will be 45 and B will be 60. So that gives me that tan of 105 is equal to tan A, tan 45, plus tan B, tan 60, divided by 1 minus tan of 45 by tan of 60. Look at that. Sometimes I put in brackets and sometimes I don't. I'm a bit inconsistent about it, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. So that, I can use my calculator now. They are special angles. We should know them. You can look them up in the calculator. Tan of 45 is 1. Tan of 60, again, if you're not sure, you can type it into the calculator. It's the square root of 3. And 1 minus 1 times the square root of 3. So that gives me 1 plus root 3 over 1 minus root 3. Now you shouldn't leave this like that because we can simplify it. But it's okay to use the calculator from this point. And we have 1 plus the square root of 3 over 1 minus the square root of 3. And we get minus 2 minus root 3. When we go back over surds, I'll talk about how we can do that without the calculator, rationalizing the denominator. But for the moment, you can just use the calculator for that last step. And there's our answer. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's just do one more example. Actually, these are slightly different. No, do you know what? I'm going to stop there today because you've had a proof and you've had these two examples. Make sure that you understand how to do those. And for homework, I'm going to ask you to work on some more period and range questions with the graphs of sine, cos, and tan, because I want you to be really familiar with those. And on Monday, we're going to have a set of exam paper questions to try. It's not a test. You can use your notes and your book and the internet and anything you want to try and work through them. And yeah, and then after that, we're going to start to move on to the next topic, which is functions. Okay, thank you.